Hey there. How do you know if the course or the teacher that you have selected, that you have picked out to learn English as a second language, how do you know if that teacher or that course is right for you? Ask your brain. Your brain knows.
English Without Fear, where you can learn to speak English naturally through listening to stories.
So here you are, working on English, learning English as a second language or any other language, and maybe you're not very happy with the teacher you have or the course you are taking. Is it time to change? And if so, how do you know? And what would you change to? Our brain can help us, yes. Let me tell you about my new experience with learning Italian. And maybe this will help you understand what you might be feeling and what to do about it. We might not be in the correct course for us, or we might not have the right teacher, and that's okay. You get to decide what kind of course, what kind of English language program, and which teacher to use, especially these days, and especially with online resources. A few months ago, I started learning some Italian for a trip in September. I began listening to podcasts for baby beginners, and I began to hear some words and phrases over and over again, and they began to stick. Then in April, I selected a teacher online for some conversation. Her name is Flavia, and she lives in Milan, Italy. I was frustrated. I told her I was a beginner, and after we said, "Ciao, come stai?" which I knew, she said something in Italian and I didn't understand. I didn't understand anything. So I asked her in English, "I don't understand. Can you write that out?" When I saw the words, I figured out what she had asked me. But to say some Italian and ask me something, and I didn't know what she meant, I felt pressure. It did not feel good. My brain went, yikes! Since I have taught French through comprehensible input, and since I have been acquiring Spanish for the last 5 years using comprehensible input, I know what it feels like. I know what my brain wants. You know, you're not in charge of your language learning. Your teacher is not in charge of your language learning. Your brain is in charge of your language learning. Yes, your brain knows exactly what it needs. I could feel that. My brain made me feel like this is not the right way to be learning Italian. So what did my brain need? What did my brain want? If Flavia had started very simply with herself telling me things, with her voice, with emotion, and with gestures, if she had said things like, "My name is Flavia. My name is not Nancy. My name is not Susie. I'm Flavia. Then she could have said, You? Are you Flavia? And I could have just nodded. She could have said, Are you Maria? Is your name Maria? And I could have made the sign, yes. She could have then said simple things like, I love to eat pizza. And she could have drawn a picture of pizza. And then she could have gestured to me, Do you like to eat pizza? My brain needed input that I could understand from her voice, her face, her hands, and some drawings. She could have held up some things. I needed the input. And that makes sense. Babies are silent. Nobody forces a baby to speak. The goal of mom and dad is for the baby to understand. Your number one goal in starting a language is to understand what somebody's saying. Once you have heard something a lot of times, a lot of repetition, your brain can then automatically produce it, but your brain knows what it needs. I have a friend who also has been learning Italian, but for a lot longer. She has a neighbor who once a week invites 3 or 4 ladies into her house to teach them Italian. She is Italian. She speaks perfect Italian. But she teaches them for 2 hours grammar and vocabulary. My friend Jill says after each class, she's up to here and her brain feels tired. Well, no wonder. Her brain is being given a workout and is not ready for that. My friend Jill has been going to her neighbor's house on and off and on, for about 5 years. But she doesn't feel like she can speak Italian. She can't say very much. That is not the right way to learn a language. That is not the right way to teach a language. Your brain knows what it needs. And that's obvious. Your body knows when it's tired. Your stomach knows when it's hungry. Your soul knows when it needs silence. So your brain knows what it needs to acquire a language. So what should you do if the course you're taking or the teacher you're working with is not right for your brain? Your brain doesn't like him or her, or doesn't like the course. That's easy. Change the course. Change the teacher. You, my friend, and I, we get to decide the best kind of food, the best kind of input for our brain. Our brain tells us what it needs to acquire English for you, Italian for me, or any other language. Trust your brain. It knows what it wants.
Thanks for watching. For questions or comments, here's my email